Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we take a look at headlines from our city, state, and country. We take a look at your comments, your ideas, your suggestions, all the information that we can get our hands on to better connect with each other and with our city, Puerto Vallarta, as a community of English-speaking locals. Today is September 7. Today is Siete de Septiembre. It's an important date in Mexico and the rest of Latin America. Important to some. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the significance of this date in the world of pop music throughout Latin America. And it is also an important date because important things happened yesterday. Yesterday, the Morena party named their presidential candidate, and the person that was named was Claudia Sheinbaum, which means most likely that we'll have a lady president in 2024. We'll get into that in a second. But first, we welcome everyone. As always, particularly if you're watching live, if this is the first time that you're watching live, please let us know by writing the word new in your comment, and we'll be so very happy to give you a nice little welcome. If there's something that is very pressing or very important to you that you think it's essential to discuss, such as this, add a capital letter Q, just as Luisa has done. I get all ready for the show, and as soon as the intro song starts, my bladder says hello. But if I take the phone to the restroom, then I feel like all the clusters are in there with me. Am I the only crazy cluster member? Well, my phone follows me all kinds of places. Anyhow, if you have something important to share, here's another cue. Yay, a female president. Well, everything seems to indicate that's what's going to happen, Albert. It's not set in stone, but I'll give you the details in a second. First, as always, welcome. Welcome. And if you're watching on YouTube later on today, we appreciate your subscriptions. We appreciate your likes. It all goes a long way to make sure that we can continue doing what we do. Let us get started with the news. And of course, the top of the news is the fact that yesterday evening, representatives of the Morena party announced that after an internal voting process, former Mexico City Chief of Government Claudia Sheinbaum will be the party's official presidential candidate. As such, Sheinbaum will represent the political movement initiated by President López Obrador as she challenges the opposition's candidate, Xochitl Gálvez, another woman, for the highest office in the country in 2024. But what about Foreign Affairs Chancellor Marcelo Ebrard? You may wonder. He was also being considered in the Morena internal voting process. Well, things got a little weird yesterday afternoon, and I'm sure we'll be reading more about this in the next few days. While votes were still being tallied to make the final announcement yesterday evening, Marcelo Ebrard broke ties with the Morena party. It was not even over. He broke ties with the Morena party, arguing that some of his people were not allowed into the place where the votes were being tallied, and that the police were forcing them out. Then he demanded a recount. Then it was announced that he could possibly switch political parties and move over to the Movimiento Ciudadano party, which has yet to announce their candidate. So Marcelo Ebrard is expected to make a decision on this matter or an announcement this coming Monday. In the meantime, Xochitl Galvez for Frente Amplio for Mexico, which represents three consolidated political parties, the PAN, the PRI, and the PRD, also known as the opposition, and Claudia Sheinbaum for the Morena party, are pretty much the two important contenders to worry about in the presidential candidacy and in 2024's presidential elections. They are both incredibly popular. Claudia, excuse me, Sheinbaum, as former chief of government in Mexico City, has a very important track record as a governor of the city. And of course, she's very, very popular. And Xochitl Galvez, who seems to have appeared out of nowhere, is also increasingly popular because she does not take any bull from President López Obrador. And they've had a couple of, like, you know, they throw stones at each other in a way that has attracted a lot of attention in political circles. So we have two women running for office. Marcelo Ebrard has been an important political figure for our country. I personally don't think he will have the pull, and but we'll have to wait and see how this whole thing unfolds. But as of right now, I would think it's very likely that Mexico will have one of these two ladies running the show starting in 2024. Changing gears altogether, there is never a dull moment when it comes to Mayor Michel's administration. More politics. Now it turns out that Benito Gutierrez, who works as a coordinator for the judicial system for the municipality, that is, he coordinates all the judges in Puerto Vallarta, he was hired to do his job for a period of 6 months, and that was 2 years ago. He's still there. So he's now being denounced along with our mayor, who is allowing this to happen. Why or how is this possible is a mystery to me. And that is one of the reasons why I will never get into politics. And to keep things interesting, of course, it has come to light that Mayor Michel, at 130,814 pesos and 86 centavos a month, makes a higher salary than Pablo Lemus, who is the mayor of Guadalajara, which is our capital city, the capital of our state, and he makes 96,045 pesos and 76 centavos. Why would the mayor of our city make more money than the mayor of Guadalajara? Well, that is a mystery, isn't it? And we won't get into that because we don't have any answers. Let us take a look at the weather instead. That could prove to be interesting. And I put it on my screen, and Snarky Weatherman says, I'm not saying it's raining right now, but there are people saying it is. It was raining very early this morning, so we'll have to see if it continues to rain. Today, let's take a quick look at the forecast. Well, right now we're enjoying 27 degrees. Humidity is at 88%. And our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 80. Our weather forecast for today says light rain throughout the day with a chance of rain of 70%. So we have a 70% chance that it'll rain lightly, I suppose. A high of 31 and a low of 24. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll have mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon. A chance of rain of 58%. A high of 32 and a low of 24. And then Saturday, it'll be humid with mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, a chance of rain of 49%, a high of 32, and a low of 24. Moving right along, I have one more bit of news, and then I have some show and tell for you. Let me set this up. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. The city of Puerto Vallarta has released details about all the entertainment that will be available at the Malecón on September 15 in anticipation of the traditional independence celebration fireworks that always happen at 11:30 at night. The activities begin at 6:15 p.m. with a presentation of a lady singer by the name of Azucena Campos, and then continue throughout the evening with a variety of groups and dancers. So this is a good time to follow up a question I brought up the other day, which is, what do Mexican nationals do to celebrate the independence? Well, it really depends on who you ask. Some of us stay home and watch the celebrations on television, the ones that are broadcast from Mexico City, for example. Some of us go out and enjoy the fireworks. Some of us go to a restaurant and have a nice dinner. Some of us do nothing at all. There's really not a big set in stone traditional activity. Of course, on September 16th, there are parades to be attended. And again, some people may choose to stay home and watch the big parade from Mexico City on television. Other people may choose to go to the Malecón and watch the parade here in town. There's really not a big specific thing that we do, in case you were wondering. But as we mentioned a few days ago, there will not be a shortage of options for you to get in the mood, should you wish to do that, at a local restaurant, at a local bar, and so forth and so on. Now, moving right along, I have a little bit of show and tell. You may remember that a few days ago, we're looking at my neighborhood, La Vena. Here's home. Yay, home. And a few days ago, we announced that Mayor Michel has kicked off repairs along Paseo Benemérito de las Américas, which is the street that I just highlighted. They are replacing all the pavement and installing better sewage and clean water pipes. I had to run some errands, and I figured I'm going to take my camera out and see what I find out there. And for starters, even before I got to the street that was being fixed, I walked past the Bazar Las Gaviotas, which is a very popular secondhand store here in Puerto Vallarta. But I was surprised to see signs that say total liquidation. Everything must go. So I don't know if they're closing for good, or if it is a way to try to get people in there and spend some money, or what. I did not stop by to ask for details. But this bazaar or secondhand store is a really, really fun place to go to. I would definitely check it out if I was in the neighborhood. But then I did walk along the street that is being fixed, and lo and behold, the first half of the street is all unpaved, and of course, because of the rain, it's all muddy. I felt bad for all the businesses that are located along the street. There's a bunch of eateries, and there are many stores, and so forth and so on. But of course, this is all important because once it's done, hopefully the street will be better paved. Hopefully they will use concrete instead of cobblestones. We don't know just yet. And there's still a way to go on the street for it to be finished. But I have to say, La Vena, my neighborhood, it is a cute little neighborhood. At least it still is. It is located right across the street, or right across from Versalles. So I suspect that once Versalles becomes intolerably expensive, which is just a matter of a few years, people will start looking at my neighborhood as an option for a place to live. And now I want to talk about today. Today is September 7th, and I want to start by reading something. These are lyrics that I'm going to read for you, and it starts like this. It seems unbelievable that after so much time since our bond was broken, we continue to maintain the pretense on our anniversary. The same little table that has seen us holding hands beneath it ensures that the usual corner remains reserved. And even though the story has ended, there's something alive in this love that even if we're determined to blow it away, there are flames that not even the sea can extinguish. The Mayflowers will slowly give way to crow's feet, and we'll search for each other with our eyes in case something remains. And the last one, September the 7th, is our anniversary, and we don't know whether to kiss each other on the cheek or the lips. So these are the lyrics to a song titled El Siete de Septiembre, or September the 7th. The song was, of course, released by a Spanish synth pop band called Mecano, which was founded in 1981 and continued active until 1992. And 31 years later, they continue to be, today, the best-selling Spanish band ever. More albums continue to be sold of this band, um, even though they haven't performed together for 31 years. What was so special about them? Well, you'd have to get to know their music, but even before we start talking about them, um, Luisa is right. The three of them were gorgeous. They were completely androgynous. They were, and so were their lyrics. They were amazing when they first came out. Mecano, of course, is Ana Torroja on the right, and brothers Nacho and Jose Maria Cano on the left. They were largely influenced by the English New Wave band Spandau Ballet when they started performing, and they flourished in a period of cultural experimentation in the newly democratic Spain. They started their unprecedented success with a single titled Hoy no me puedo levantar, or I can't get up today, which had nothing to do with anything beyond youth, boredom, and hangovers. That was what the song was about. But it was beautifully produced, it was beautifully crafted, it went up in the charts immediately. In 1991, they released their sixth and final record, titled Aidalai, and it is in this record where the aforementioned song was featured. And the song, El Siete de Septiembre, or September 7th, tells the real life story of the breakup between Nacho Cano, one of the members of the group, and his then girlfriend, Spanish writer Coloma Fernandez. And the song talks about how they continue to be in touch with one another, and they get together every September the 7th, even though they are not a couple and have not been one for the longest time. The group would eventually dissolve due to creative differences, primarily between the two brothers and their jealousies. Jose Maria, one of the brothers, made the announcement on public television without telling the other two. He all of a sudden just announced, well, I'm not going to be part of this group anymore. And you can see the stunned look of the other two members while this is happening. And of course, Ana Torroja, the lady member, was caught in the middle of all the squabbling and often had to be the referee between the two brothers. What happened to these very successful musicians? The three of them were very successful together and also apart. Well, Jose Maria stepped away from music and he became a painter, a visual artist, and he's very, very successful as a painter. Ana Torroja went on to become a soloist and released a bunch of albums. She is huge and still is considered one of the most important female singers in the history of Latin American pop. And perhaps the biggest successes have come to Nacho Cano, the third brother. In 2005, he premiered Hoy No Me Puedo Levantar, which was the name of their first single. But he turned it into a jukebox musical, which again opened in 2005 in Madrid, using all music by the group. And this is a musical that gets performed all over Latin America. I mean, if you were to go to Mexico City or even Guadalajara, it would be unusual not to find a production of this musical going on. And then in in 2022, he premiered another musical, Malinche, and Malinche, of course, tells the story of the indigenous woman, La Malinche, who went ahead and befriended Hernan Cortés, the conquistador, betrayed her own people, and sided with the Spanish conquerors when they reached Mexico, or what was known as the New Spain at the time. The musical opened on September 15, 2022 in Spain, and I understand it's starting to develop productions all over Latin America. If you're curious about this, there is a documentary on the making of the musical on Netflix, and I've seen it, and I think we've even mentioned it here at Coffee and Headlines before. So this is a big, long story that has very little to do with us, but it has everything to do with our musical culture. September 7th, today is a good day to listen to Mecano and get to know their music better. Of course, I will leave a link to the video for the song Siete de Septiembre in the show notes for you to get to know it. And that is the end of that. Let me take a quick look at your comments. Lots of good mornings, and I appreciate those. Let's see. Okay. Where are the... Oh, there's a queue. Mexico legalized a women's right to choose, very progressive compared to our northern neighbors, says Bill. Well, yes, very progressive. Let's see. Alan says, when is the grito? The grito is always on September 15, just like 4th of July is always the day in which the United States celebrates their independence. Let's see what else is going on here. Mateo, who has lived in Mexico City, has very favorable words to say about Claudia Sheinbaum. In my 45 years in Mexico, Claudia has been the most dynamic jefa de gobierno. That's the seat that Mexico City has ever had, and she's smart. I'm confident that she'll make a fantastic presidenta. I actually hope she wins. That's just me. I'm a big fan of her, and I hope she does okay. But of course, there'll be plenty of time to be reporting on all of this. Let's see what else. Love it when you weave a story around real people and a date like September 7th today. So interesting. Thank you, Albert. I appreciate that very much. Of course, sometimes these stories have very little to do with our day-to-day, but hopefully they have a little bit to do with cultural and historical and artistic things that are important in here in Mexico and the rest of Latin America. I have very fond memories of that album that I just mentioned. I listened to it ad nauseum, and in fact, the first song in the album is called El Fallo Positivo, and that means the positive test result, and it is about a person that finds out this person is HIV positive, and the stigma and ignorance of people around this person pushes him to hang himself from his attic, while his lover remains unable to do anything, and his lover would have been very happy to remain with this person. So I remember when the album came out, I mean, nobody was talking about HIV, and here's this pop band from Spain that just released a beautiful, beautiful song on the subject matter. Just great, great song. Anyhow, hello, Rob. Rob says about how many people are expected to be at the Malecon for September 15 festivities. I think some 4,562. No, actually, I have no idea. Boom, boom. No, a lot of people will go to the Malecon and enjoy the fireworks. It is one of those rites of passage for many people. Some people choose to just walk about. Other people try to get a good seat from one of the restaurants that are on the Malecon, although you should expect to pay premium prices if you choose to do that. And that brings us to the end. Da, 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 da. Oh, thank you for that, Claude. Those show notes are always so good to get and connect deeper into your work you do for us. Thank you for that. Yes, it is a pleasure to put together the show notes so that you can dive deeper in things that are important to you. And speaking of things that are important to you, it's time to get going because we have all kinds of things to do today to get ready for tomorrow, which will be yet another day in which we broadcast, as always. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for letting me talk about Mecano, one of my favorite bands. And thank you for all your comments, your questions, your contributions. They keep me inspired. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.